Forces. Thank you very much, Lavadi, and good evening to you and listeners all around the world. We welcome you to the office of the Prime Minister as we bring you an address to the nation by Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit. Of course, Mr. Skerrit will talk about the response of Dominica to the ravages of Tropical Storm Erica 11 days ago. The recovery efforts are very much on the way in Dominica, and a lot has been going on. In fact, some school children went to school today. The majority will go to school on Wednesday, so recovery efforts very much on the way. Dominica, the Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit.
Fellow Dominicans, residents, friends, and well-wishers, let me start by thanking Almighty God for giving each of us the strength and fortitude to soldier on in the midst of the tragedy wrought upon our island from the passage of Tropical Storm Erica. Just over a week ago, when I addressed you officially, the circumstance was solemn and somber. The task ahead was daunting for many. But with our renowned resilience and our faith in Almighty God, we are fighting and we will bounce back. We are nowhere near a state of comfort and satisfaction, but the spirits of Dominicans have been lifted. I thank each and every citizen of this country, whether resident at home or abroad, for adopting a never-say-die attitude to this tragedy. I think it is that determination and demonstration of unity and a common sense of purpose by all and sundry that awoke the spirit of sympathy, solidarity, and support of the international and regional community. As leader of this country, I am humbled by the universal outpouring of support for and assistance. We value and appreciate the country of those who could hardly afford it that impacted us in a significant way. I speak here of the small fisherman from Guadeloupe who borrowed the money to pay the petrol to bring across some. I think of the old lady in Antigua and Barbuda whose pension normally affords her only 2 cans of milk a week, but who nevertheless declared at the counter that one of these cans this week would be sent to Dominica. I speak here of the entertainers in Barbados and also in Antigua who are coming together to perform free of cost for the benefit of the children of Dominica. This has been a very touching period for me as a leader of this small country, because the experience of the last few days has told us clearly that in our moment of need and vulnerability, we are not alone. As a people, we must have done something right over the years for the outpouring of support and well wishes. I take this opportunity to thank all those who have helped in any way to ease the pain and boost the spirits of our people. Dominica shall not forget your kindness. I had intended, ladies and gentlemen, to provide you with a detailed update this evening on our relief and recovery efforts. Stakeholders have worked diligently on preparing these updates, and I must say, I am very satisfied, indeed quite impressed with the great strides that collectively we have made in the last 10 days. Water and food supplies at this time are in adequate supply, though the need for replenishment is constant, given the number who are homeless and those without running water or electricity. Regrettably, there are unsubstantiated and perhaps even unwarranted reports of unfairness and even partisanship in the distribution of relief supplies. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, please, I beg of you, do not let us degenerate the discussion to this level. My job as Prime Minister has been to bring emotional comfort to residents while soliciting from far and wide assistance to relieve the suffering of my people. I have been ably supported in this endeavor by my cabinet of ministers, fellow Labour Party parliamentarians, Leader of the Opposition, Honourable Lennox Linton, and other opposition parliamentarians. We have put in place a clear and transparent system for the receipt, processing. No Minister of Government or parliamentary representative is or should be involved in the administration of this program. Each PALREP, and I mean has been given a direct line of access to the administration of the Relief Supply Service. I am not aware of any breakdowns, but in an operation such as this, there could be clogs in the system. Our job as a people is to find these chinks and work them out. I cannot and will not be distracted at this time by a few radio talk show hosts or others incapable of raising the level of debate and discourse. If there are problems, I invite any disgruntled PALREP to speak up at our regular meetings and let us iron them out. Indeed, we have another meeting of all 21 parliamentarians tomorrow at 8 o'clock, and I will invite the public officers coordinating the relief supplies program to attend that meeting, hear grievances, and also spell out once again the procedures that have been put in place for the procurement, management, picture to be dragged into such negative and internecine warfare that will clearly not contribute to the reduction of stress on the backs of those who suffered in this disaster. Dominica has done remarkably well in its efforts to bounce back from this social, infrastructural, and economic setback. I repeat, now is not the time for petty politics to be introduced into the equation. As I said earlier, several reports on the impact of the storm and recovery efforts to date have been submitted. I propose to use the occasion of the nightly press briefings to invite each sectoral interest to join me in discussing the state and status of each sector. So in the coming days, you will be updated on housing, tourism, agriculture, air and seaports operations, roads and bridges. The list goes on. What I will tell you now, nonetheless, is that I am very satisfied with the response of many foreign governments and multilateral agencies to our appeal for direct monetary assistance and budget support. The relevant officials will provide detailed updates in a day or two. But I can say to you, for example, that only today, Monday, 7th September 2015, a team from arrived to assess the 2 projects currently funded by the CDB. The team will seek to expedite the projects already approved and to include the new works required. The mission will undertake site visits and provide a report on Thursday, 10th September 2015. A team from the World Bank arrived in Dominica today as well to begin the economic and social assessment. Discussions are also ongoing with the World Bank with a view to reallocating the resources approved under the Disaster Vulnerability Reduction Project, the DVRP. Confirmation has been given that an amount of US $14.7 million can be reallocated for ERICA reconstruction. The bank is in discussion with the Climate Investment Fund, CIF, on the possibility of reallocating the funds provided by that organization. The UNDP representative has been consulted and has submitted a number of proposals to head office for consideration. Already, the UNDP has indicated that it will look to double its initial contribution to the overall relief effort. Despite these efforts, and as I have indicated to the nation, Tropical Storm Erika has caused almost $1 billion in damage to Dominica, and we will need the combined support of our development partners to recover from this major. Fellow Dominicans, residents, ladies and gentlemen, in order to facilitate the quick and efficient movement of people and goods at the ports of entry, additional staff has been deployed to the Kingsfield Airport and the Roseau Ferry Terminal. Service being meted out to those journeying relief supplies. First, let me apologize to the victims of such shoddy treatment and to assure you that transparent systems are being put in place to streamline the receipt and processing of all storm relief supplies. The Cabinet of Ministers has taken a decision with respect to waiver of duties and other impositions, and this has been communicated to the relevant authority. We shall continue to monitor the service at our ports of entry to ensure that those going to the trouble of bringing us much needed supplies are recipients of the warm hospitality for which Dominicans is not compromised. To open up critical lines of communication and has devoted significant resources to the West and East Coast roads. In support of these efforts, we shall take delivery of some emergency bridges this week and immediately start to install these along the West Coast at Point Round, Battley River, and Makushri River. These bridges shall ensure that the present detours are more substantial and will provide safe crossing in the event those river levels rise. Concurrently, bridging equipment will be deployed to the gorge at Dominica to allow us to open up the road to reach the community of Dailies. Thereafter, we shall provide a safe crossing at the White River, then open road access to Petit Savan. Opening of road access to the southeast is critical to those stranded communities, and this objective is a top priority of. Temporary bridges shall commence tomorrow, and we shall work extended hours until all these structures are in place. We are also making advances in developing permanent replacement bridges for those affected structures. These new bridges shall be designed to ensure they do not cause pinch points for river flows or are susceptible to repeat events. Government, with the support of its development partners, intends to move very quickly on the permanent rebuilding of the roads and bridges on the East and West Coast, and will take decisive action in the short term to make sure that work commences as soon as possible and on an accelerated basis. Such reconstruction efforts shall also address obstructing highways and eliminate elsewhere in Connector Road, We have also embarked on the design of critical river training operations to clean to riverbanks. This work will include completing the Roseau River walls to the west of the Link Bridge. This week, we shall be acquiring materials such as guardrail barriers and gabion baskets, allowing us to start protecting and stabilizing roads impacted. During this rebuilding, we continue to appeal to the residents of Dominica to be patient during this trying time. We wish to assure you that we are aware of the terrible impact this storm has had on entire communities and individuals. Indeed, so catastrophic has this experience been, with its resultant implications for future development, that I have empaneled a national reconstruction task force to assist a path forward for the social of Dominica. Tried, tested, and proven Dominicans who have the skills, vision, and experience to advise the government on the way forward. It is my pleasure to report to you agreed to serve and are about to get down to the task assigned. This group of eminent Dominicans shall be led by former President, His Excellency Edward Williams, Colin Bully, former Director of OECS EDU, retired Cabinet Secretary and Attorney at Law, Julian Johnson, Alec Lazar, former Financial Secretary, former Government Minister and Business Gregory Shillingford, former CEO of West Indies Cricket Board and agronomist, consultant and economist Dr. Valda Henry, chartered engineer and businessman Anthony Burnett Biscom, Ambassador Edward Lambert, with banker Mary Therese Johnson serving as secretary of the group. We are indeed honored to have such an illustrious group willing to give of their time from the deliberations and consultations. To talk to you about this evening will impact and determine how fast realistically we can and will proceed towards full recovery. It is the unfolding hurricane season and disturbing forecast of more bad weather on the horizon. I have been in constant communication with officials of the Meteorological Office here in Dominica, and I want to pause a moment to express my total confidence in the work and judgment of our local meteorologists. I speak with them, and like you, I consult other weather services and channels around the world. I find our local officials are as knowledgeable as any, and their understanding and interpretation of the various tracking reports are spot on with others elsewhere. And with the support of external forecasters, that I have decided to come to you this evening to sensitize you to the clear and present danger posed by the threat of more torrential rainfall in Dominica at this time. Many of you are monitoring the progress or peak. Over the last 2 days, Grace has continued on a general westward motion toward the Lesser Antilles, with maximum sustained winds peaking near 50 miles per hour on Sunday. As of today, Monday, 7th September 2015, the 5 p.m. advisory issued by the National Hurricane Center, NHC, on the storm indicated slight weakening of the storm to 45 miles. Grace maintains a center located just north of Dominica on Friday, 11th September 2015, either as a weak storm or tropical wave. Regardless of this weakening, and this is what I want you to listen to very carefully, my dear people, the current projection is for an increase in shower and thunderstorm activity. which could be heavy at times across Dominica on Friday. This Wednesday, that's 2 days from now, with our model projections estimating rainfall amounts of 15 millimeters to 20 millimeters across Dominica, than less than an inch of rainfall. Under normal circumstances, an inch of rain on Wednesday would be a windfall to farmers and seacraft users. But on this occasion, it spells trouble for residents of several communities across Dominica. The earth is saturated and will not easily absorb an inch of rain. In addition to the meteorologists, I have also been listening to structural engineers and their warning of the grave and present danger posed by the threat of additional torrential rainfall in Dominica at this time. So not only is there the weakened tropical storm Grace that we have to pay attention to, but also our troubles could begin as early as Wednesday. To issue a word of warning to residents of this country. Now is not the time for daredevil maneuvers. We have been given adequate warning of the likelihood of torrential showers and flash flooding, and we all must pay heed. I know it will be difficult, and I know it will be uncomfortable for many, but we're all one people, and we have got to batten down and see this period of trial and adversity through. If you know you're living in areas, I am urging you from now to consider a shelter or bunking with a relative or friend elsewhere during the upcoming days of anticipated bad weather. It is they therefore currently present a very real danger. Our engineers are out in the roads conducting inspections and monitoring hazards, as we can expect sections to continue to shift. This shifting may accelerate in the event of additional heavy rain. We ask for motorists to be diligent and report any changes they see to the road surfaces. Our engineers and consultants have taken steps towards repairing and stabilizing the affected areas, but this work takes time and is very hazardous. To those who were victims of to be especially vigilant and mindful of the fact that conditions around you could deteriorate in the event of the forecasted rainfall materializing. Today is but Monday, and I would caution you to be vigilant throughout Wednesday, so that by Thursday you would be in a better position to gauge and determine whether evacuation in anticipation of Friday's heavier rainfall is necessary. I have summoned another meeting of all parliamentarians for 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Here we will be hoping to get updated reports not only on relief and restoration, but also on continued vulnerabilities as we approach this next bout of predicted bad weather. I want to say here that I was very impressed and satisfied with the overall sense of purpose and leader of the opposition, Honorable Lennox Linton, who has been most constructive in his interventions. I believe this formula of parliamentarians working together in the face of adversity has served us well thus far during this repair and restoration period. I again urge residents in need of assistance to make contact with your parliamentary representative, as they are each in a position to access rapid help and relief on your behalf. Fellow Dominicans, residents, and friends, I am confident that Dominica shall overcome those periods of adversity. The last 10 days have been fantastic for us as a people. We have bounced back and we are in recovery and rebuilding mode. Forecasted bad weather in the coming days should be seen for us to cross in our quest to return. Dominicans abroad are rooting for us. Our Caribbean brothers and sisters have put their hearts, hands, and resources to the plow. Many foreign nations and multilateral agencies have placed Dominica at the top of their priority list. The world, ladies and gentlemen, is rooting for us. Let us unite. Let us continue to work together to rebuild this beautiful country of ours. May God continue to bless and guide you. Let's all pray for a shift in the trajectory of these additional weather systems. Let's all reaffirm our faith in Almighty God to shield this land of ours. I thank you very much for listening, and may God bless the Commonwealth of Dominica and all its people. I thank you very much. God bless.